All right, Free Radicals, welcome back. My name is Dave, and this is The Radical Independent. Thanks for tuning in. If you can, please subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the bell for notifications. I've been hearing all kinds of weird stories about how people are mysteriously becoming unsubscribed or that they're not getting notifications. I've noticed that traffic on my channel is way down, viewership is down, revenue is almost down to zero. So I'd appreciate if you could help me out there. Also, via PayPal and Patreon. Those are two methods you can also assist. And I will remember, hopefully this time, to put the PayPal email into the description of the video itself. Jess Griffin is somebody who's on the ground. She works in New Hampshire for Tulsi Gabbard's campaign. She's very busy. I know she has hosted some fundraising activities, and she has been in a lot of the video content that I receive from New Hampshire. She's a very upbeat person. It appears that she has had enough. And the reason she's had enough is because it's really tough to ignore the truth. And I've been preaching this kind of truth now for almost a year. Tulsi Gabbard got into the campaign, and about a month later, probably early March of last year, I started a channel, and then I began to focus primarily on Tulsi Gabbard. And I switched it up a little bit as far as the title of the channel and so forth, but I've continued to be pretty non-stop when it comes to supporting and covering Tulsi Gabbard. Here's what Jess pinned on her Twitter timeline yesterday. She says, "F the DNC, Tulsi Gabbard, you can't fix this dumpster fire. Now is the time to start a new party. We must leave the old corrupt and broken two-party system behind. America is ready and has been begging for this for decades. You're the one." Now, this tweet does two things very effectively. It keeps Tulsi as the focus. It says, hey, you're still the one. We want you as our candidate, but you can't fix this. You can't fix it. And I agree with Jess. I've been saying this for a very long time. I'm getting a lot of, pushback, like, well, we can overcome anything. And Tulsi herself has made speeches where she's more or less said, hey, we can, mobilize and we can still overcome this. Now, her poll numbers continue to go up in New Hampshire. Her rankings as far as content, social media activity, those rankings continue to go up. In some cases, she is in fourth place. All right, in some cases. I'm not saying she's fourth place nationally or she's going to come in fourth place. She could very well come in fourth place, if not higher, in New Hampshire. The question is, does it matter? That's the question. I mean, if Tulsi finished in first place in New Hampshire, there would be a meltdown of biblical, catastrophic proportions in the news media. And it would be wall-to-wall, nonstop, oh no, this person who can't recognize Assad as a dictator, all the old lies would be trotted back out, all the smears, every single smear, and then amplify that by about a factor of maybe 100, and you would get what would happen to Tulsi Gabbard. So, whether it's Bernie, who, by the way, is capitulating all over the place and making me just want to say, I think I'm done with Bernie Sanders again. I got a little bit on the Bernie train. I know Bernie in a lot of polls is picking up steam, but to get out there and tell his own supporters in a speech that basically any blue will do, we got to beat Trump. No, we got to make the country better. We have to figure out why so many people are struggling to make ends meet. We've got to give people affordable health care or free health care. I'm saying free is better than affordable, Mike Bloomberg, who doesn't give us any real information when he says affordable. He just says, everyone will get covered. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? See, Bernie has a plan, and more importantly, Tulsi has a plan. At least they have plans. That's my point. And I think people who don't care, who just want the platitudes, who hate Donald Trump so much that they can't function as human beings, those people are not good for this cause, because the neoliberal who takes over is just going to push that throttle right to the floor when it comes to things like invading countries that have not done anything to provoke us to invade, other than the fact that they have natural resources, or they have people who we think are bad, so we're going to go in there and do stuff to try to clean up their country. They're going to push that throttle right to the floor. And you're thinking to yourself, well, it's still better than Trump. I got news for you. It's not. It's not. It's equal to or worse than Trump. That's what it will be. Equal to or worse than when it comes to foreign policy. Now, if you care about all these politically correct wedge issues, if you push those to the front of your life, which I don't know why anybody would, we're going to always disagree on some of the smaller issues, and what's happened is the news media just keeps us fighting about those issues, and so we pick the tribe that we think fits our situation better. And in the meantime, we're probably voting against our own economic interests. And in this case now, we're voting against our own economic interests, both with the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Tulsi Gabbard is an exception. Bernie Sanders, yeah, maybe, not sure. And with the capitulations saying that any blue will do, Bernie, again, in front of his own supporters, he says this. So they're co-opting him. Some people are already saying that they've got him, meaning that they've got something on him, or if he's going to continue to play this, he's going to have to bend to their will. He's going to have to move to the center and get away from his Bernie platform or water it down. And of course, there are conflicting reports on this, because there are people within his own campaign who are saying one thing and then Bernie is saying another thing. I don't think this two-party thing can be fixed. I think Jess is 100% correct here. I've been saying this now for months. Got the Green Party shirt on here today. I did it for a reason. I put the shirt on to say, you know what? I don't even know if I like all of what the Green Party stands for, but I do like enough of what they stand for to say at least they'll stand for it. The Democrats aren't going to stand up. The Republicans obviously are tools of the corporate elite as well. But to tell me that, we've got to do everything we can to beat Trump, but yet we send up pretty much an empty suit or an empty dress, depending on who we send up there, could be Amy Klobuchar. I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it. And there are a lot of people that are saying we're done. We're done. This is over. We've given this a shot, and now it's time to start thinking new party, whether it's Green Party. I think the Green Party is a natural place, a good fit for candidates that are like Tulsi Gabbard, who truly believe in this stuff and who aren't just putting suggestions on a chalkboard, for instance, and saying that's a great idea. If you're going to fight climate change, by the way, you can't be for the war machine. The two just don't go together, and one will offset the other. Any gains you make enacting minor sort of things around the edges are all going to be destroyed when you go to war with Iran, Iraq, whoever it is that you need to ramp up against to keep Raytheon happy. So this tweet is a reality check for people who support Tulsi, because this is one of her most fervent supporters, and it's not a talk show host. It's not an internet celebrity. It's not a so-called progressive show. It's somebody who's on the ground, who's actually met Tulsi, has been working hard on Tulsi's behalf, and I think they see the light, and they say, basically, what good is all of this if, again, the party is going to block her anyway? And my prediction is a neoliberal will be the nominee for the Democratic Party, and he will work very hard. I'll say he, most likely he, but could be a she, he will work very hard to try to bring in all of these disaffected people who wanted Bernie or Tulsi, and I don't think people are going to have it this time. I think people are either going to stay home or they're going to vote green. They're going to find a candidate that they can vote for with a clear conscience. And if Trump gets reelected, so be it. I think the only caveat to that, I mean, as far as, I guess, a silver lining, would be that if Trump gets reelected, maybe these people will snap out of it and think to themselves, this neoliberal stuff, it's not appealing to anybody anymore. The only reason Trump wins is because he pretends to be against the establishment and then hires people in his cabinet who are and have been in the establishment for generations, basically, or at least decades, we'll say that. All right, so thanks again for watching. This is serious stuff, folks. This is serious. I mean, a top supporter saying, okay, Tulsi, this isn't going to work. You need to do something different. And she did a poll, by the way, saying, you know, would you support Tulsi if she ran third party? And she got like 60 no votes, which is incredible. How lost people are and how people think, well, this is the structure we have, so we have to just stick with it. We say this every 4 years, and until we start to break from it, and we should have been at this in 2017, but we haven't been, so here we are again. Until we actually make a break from this, it's going to overwhelm and swallow everything up, and the corporate donors are going to win, and the people are going to lose. So I would say Jess is right. Jess is correct, and I know if you don't like that, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, if you think, hey, we can just overcome everything, it's kind of glib. It's just I'm not feeling it anymore. I don't feel all of this. Hey, we can do this. What if Tulsi won a couple of primaries? What would happen if she won a couple of primaries? I mean, the media would go into outer space, and then once she got to the convention, oh my gosh. I mean, I can't imagine the carnage with all these delegates and super delegates and who they'd vote for. I'm really worried about Mike Bloomberg, who, by the way, purchased some advertising during the Super Bowl. During the Super Bowl, Michael Bloomberg has an ad. That's at least what I've heard. And I just, it's crazy to think that this guy would spend this amount of money, but he's got very deep pockets, and he may just be in the process of buying the nomination. Then what are y'all going to do? You going to sit here and go with all this glib stuff and say, oh, it's going to be fine. Tulsi's got so much support and we love her and I love her too. Everybody I know who is a Tulsi Gabbard supporter thinks she is like miles ahead of everybody else. The problem is the DNC doesn't think so. And they've already got the candidates that they can accept. And Tulsi Gabbard is not one of those candidates. So that's it for the video. I'm done. Have yourself a great Sunday, and I have no interest in watching the Super Bowl. It's corporate madness on steroids. It's bad for the country. You may say, oh, it's great for the economy. Maybe, but I just think it's brainwashing. It's corporate brainwashing at its best. See y'all soon.